Welcome to my show, Energy Within. You're watching this, my friends, because you believe in human development and you know that with the right mindset, you can be anything you want and you can achieve your goals. So the purpose of this show is to interview wonderful individuals from around the world and get to know how they manage their time and how they succeed in life. So today I'm joined by the President of Westminster College, Dr. Lamkin. So thank you for joining.
Glad to be here, Kama.
Thank you very much. So my first question for today is, who is President Lamkin? Where are you from? And besides being President of Westminster College, what else do you do?
Well, that's a question that I'll try to answer quickly.
Right.
I was brought up in a family well, my father was in the military, so we traveled all over the country and overseas during my childhood. During my time living at home, I went to 8 different schools in 7 different states. So, we moved just about every year.
Yeah.
And then went to West Point, graduated from there,
Yes.
went to the Army, which is what you do when you graduate from West Point.
Oh, right.
Had tours in Hawaii, Vietnam, in the United States, and then back in Korea and in Germany. So I've been around the world quite a bit, seen quite a bit. My last time in the Army was at West Point. The Army was good to me. They not only educated me at West Point, but also at UC Berkeley for a master's degree and at the University of Washington in Seattle for a PhD. I spent my last 13 years in the Army on the West Point faculty. I was a department head in engineering, and I was the dean of the academic board, which is like a provost position, the number 2 person there at the academy. And then after that was the year 2000, I came here to Westminster College, was the president for 7 years, left after what I think was a very successful and fulfilling time. Went to California, went to Kansas, and went to West Virginia, had 2 other college presidencies and a vice presidency in that time, and then was called just 5 months ago, almost to the day, to come back here to Westminster College to be the president again. So that's, I'm married to Cindy, my wife, a very talented musician, and between us we have 5 children.
Thank you very much. And which drives me to the next question. You were talking about the wonderful credentials, the things you have done, and my next question is, what is the driving force behind doing all these wonderful things? Is it, do you set goals, or is something within you've always tried to?
Well, it's a little both.
Right.
Within me, I have I'm pretty driven. I think I was once asked by a very, very astute student,
Right.
What is your greatest fear? And I'd never really thought about that much, but the answer came easily. My greatest fear is acceptance of mediocrity. Mediocrity is a very easy thing to fall into. You don't rock the boat, you just let things rock along, and you sort of are satisfied by not making any waves. You're not really asserting yourself. And to me, that's a very wasted life. I think God gives us talent and energy and brains, and we should use it to the utmost of our ability. I think I was pretty blasé about it all when I was young, but my experience in Vietnam, having 25 of my classmates die at a young age because of that conflict, that affected me and made me think maybe I should make the most of what God has given me. And so here I am today, a pretty old guy, still working and still trying to contribute the best I can. I do set goals for myself. It depends on the situation. I have long-term goals that I set about where I want to be and what I want to do, maybe 5 years out. And then I also, virtually every day, I have a short-term list of things that I want to accomplish, and I tend to review, okay, what have I done, where am I going, on a regular basis to ensure that I'm following the track that I planned.
Thank you very much. follow that answer because I also set goals and I feel like it directs me in the right direction.
Well, you have to at least know when you're deviating from your path.
Right.
You know, you set the goals, you set a path, and then there comes a time when maybe you are doing something different than you thought you were going to be different. You have to be flexible to do that, but you also have to know that you've deviated. To know that, okay, but for example,
Yes.
when I was in the Army, everyone strives for promotion and rank. And there was a time when, you know, and I was like everyone else, you know, I expected to get the next job, a higher set of responsibilities and moving toward a higher rank.
Yes.
And everyone was telling me, oh, you're going to be a general, you're going to wear many stars, do this, do this, do this.
Yes.
And then I reached a point in my life where I realized that what the track I was on was going to certainly provide success, but not much fulfillment, because usually in the Army you can command an organization, but as soon as you leave, your mark is erased by the next person. Whereas when you worked, the other opportunity I had was to, instead of following that track,
Yes.
to be a brigade commander, a division commander, and so forth, to follow an academic track and go back to West Point. And I felt like in education, you have a much more long-term effect, a more profound effect. And I thought, well, I won't get, you know, multiple stars and so forth in that rank, all this rank on that route, but I will get more satisfaction in my life. And so that's the route I took. I went back and got a PhD. I went back to West Point late in my career, and I'm glad I did that, because not only was it very fulfilling to make the long-term contributions that I did at West Point, but I then was able to enter academia as a college president.
Yes.
And I think, once again, you make a profound effect on people's lives, not only the students, but the staff and faculty and the organization itself.
Yes.
And it's long-term and lasting and very fulfilling and satisfying, and from a career standpoint and from a personal standpoint. So I made a deviation, but I did it thoughtfully. I just didn't just go there with no thought whatsoever, or no idea of what the consequences were going to be. I knew the consequences.
Thank you very much. That was inspiring because you mentioned about following your path from what you felt inside,
Yes.
which I feel like is the most important thing, like following your heart, because even when you face obstacles, you will still push because it's something within you.
There's one of our alumni said it really, really well, Kent Miller, when he dedicated the Student Center years ago.
Yes.
He said, you need three things in life. You need to have something to be passionate about, something to do, and someone to love. And I thought that was very succinct and said it all.
That is true. Thank you very much. And my next question is, to do all these wonderful things, we all have to be in the right mindset. We have to be in a good mindset. And so, what is a day well spent for President Lamkin? What makes you at the end of the day say,
That was a good day.
That was a good day.
Well, I do have a good day every now and then.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that gives me the greatest joy in this job
Yes.
is interacting with students. Students like yourself, students like the ones I meet with on a weekly basis, on a somewhat formal basis, because they come to see me, or people I interact with out on the campus. The joy for me comes with that interaction.
Yes.
It's a good day if I can go home to my wife and my family and feel relaxed, and that usually happens when I've had an opportunity to see the results of all the work that we do here, and that is, it's really manifested in the students. So that's what gives me the joy. The rest of it is pretty hard work. You know, it's administering and making decisions, interacting with staff and faculty, and sometimes those are great interactions, and sometimes not so great. because there's a job to do and not everybody wants to do it the way that I want to do it.
Right.
You know, I try to listen and get advice and counsel, but ultimately I'm responsible and I have to make the decision. And sometimes those decisions are difficult. But at the end of the day, if I feel like we've done the right thing with regard to my values,
Yes.
and that we have benefited the students, and that's a good day for me.
Thank you very much for that. And so, right now, my following question after all the incredible things you've just mentioned is, what advice would you give right now to someone who feels like they have a dream and they want to take the next step forward, but they're still being maybe held back by obstacles, or people telling them, you cannot do this, or why are you doing this?
Yeah.
But they feel like within themselves they really want to take a jump in maybe doing something to change the world, or maybe being better versions of themselves. Maybe in school, want to get a 4.0 GPA. Maybe someone wants to be better in communicating with other people. What advice would you give them?
Well, there's a lot of advice wrapped up in those in multiple questions that you asked, but I think the first piece of advice I would give to a student is to set goals and to review those goals and try to follow them as best they can. And an example of this is one of our students at West Point was failing in just about everything: military program, academic program, the physical fitness tests and so forth. He was a person of very fine ability, but was not really performing very well. So we brought him in. We had an organization called Performance Enhancement Center, and they worked with this young man. And they asked him what he wanted to achieve in life. What were your goals? And he said, I want to be Airborne Ranger Special Forces. He wanted to graduate from West Point and do that. And we said, well, first of all, the track you're on, you're not even going to graduate. So if you go, your chances of going Airborne Ranger Special Forces are not very good. Even if you graduate at the rate you're going, you're going to be near the bottom of the class. You're not going to have many choices. And Special Forces are not going to want you. So what you're going to have to start performing well here at West Point if you want to reach your goals. So he said, well, okay, and he started doing that. He decided that if he wanted to reach those goals, that ultimate objective, that he needed to be on the dean's list academically. He needed to be in the top 10% in the military program, and he needed to get a very good score on the physical training test. So he set very specific ultimate goals, and then he set objectives. To get on the dean's list, I'm going to have to spend X number of hours studying. I'm going to have to do well in this course. Even though I don't like it, I'm going to have to get extra help in this course. He set specific goals academically, militarily. He's going to have to get his room cleaned up. He's going to have to wear his uniform well. He's going to have to try harder at the various events. And for the physical training test, he had to do certain things to get in shape, in better shape, to practice the obstacle course and some of the other difficult events that they had. And he set himself a bunch of goals. And he took each one of those goals and he put it on a PowerPoint slide. He had a presentation, and in the background was this music that was playing. That was the song of the Green Berets. Dun 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 dun. So he had this music playing, and these slides coming up like, get on the dean's list. Work harder in physics. Do this. All his objectives flashing on the screen. And every morning when he'd get up to shave and clean up and get ready for going to class, he played that PowerPoint slide. So he's always aware of what he was trying to do, what he was striving for, the objectives that he put in front of himself. And he ended up going Airborne Ranger Special Forces, finishing near the top of the class. It was because he set those objectives, and because he did that and continued to follow up on it. He didn't just put them on paper and forget about them. He really worked on them. He was able to be successful. And I think that's really important for every student to know where they are, where they're going, and how to get there. And the faculty, I think, here can be very helpful in the advising process and doing that, and our students should take advantage of that advising process and their faculty mentors and they individually should have clearly written down what their goals are and how they're going to get there, and be reviewing that periodically so that they are saying, whoa, you know, I'm not really doing my studies, or I'm not staying in good physical condition, or whatever it is. I better work harder on this area or this area or this area, and constantly improve. And if you do that, I think you can achieve a whole lot more than you would ever dream. But if you never set those goals, you're just going to flounder. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's just too many other things that will distract you. So bottom line, students should set goals and very assiduously go after those goals and constantly review them and do those things it's going to take to achieve those goals. And sometimes those goals change. You know, it's just like anything, and then when they do, you acknowledge it,
yes.
and you say, okay, this is the direction I'm going to head now. But you've got to have a path. You can't just flounder.
Thank you very much. Because I like the when you mentioned about the writing goals, like how it I don't know if you put it like this, like does it like shift your paradigm? Like in the subconscious mind, you keep on maybe playing your favorite music while looking at your goals.
Yeah.
If you do it consistently, it like shifts your paradigm and into the subconscious mind. It ends up being a habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And yes.
Well, let me just mention one other thing,
Yes.
I think that as part of this goal setting, one should also establish and understand internally what values I believe in. And then whenever you reach a decision point or a difficult situation, you sort of go back to what are my values, and if I act, will it be consistent with my values? And that becomes your driving force. As long as you can act and do and manifest your values in what you do, you're going to be okay. But it's when you break from those values that you start having a hard time looking at yourself in the mirror.
Thank you very much.
You bet, Thomas. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. From President of Westminster College, Dr. Lamkin. He mentions about not having fear. Fear, if I can spell it, is false evidence appearing real. So do not be afraid. Put in the hard work, and you will succeed in life. Thank you very much.